Truly amazing to show that you all are engaged and involved and concerned about where you live. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for coming out so that we can have this conversation. We're going to keep this flow moving. It will be a Q&A, as well as just giving you the content and the information. I am going to turn it over to the experts, and we will have that conversation and that dialogue.
Now, I was appointed by Governor Walker to serve on the state committee, and as part of that committee, we looked at a number of options that were available. And essentially, it comes down to looking at two types of facility: a state facility, which is for the serious juvenile offenders, and a county facility, which is a secure residential community facility. And you're going to hear a lot of information about the county facility because that's what this meeting is about.
So we have about 30 minutes or so to just present some information for you so that you have the facts. As Judge Donald said, our job really is to provide you with the most accurate information we can and to answer any questions, listen to your concerns. It is our intent to be here and listen to your concerns as well as answer as many questions as we possibly can. So that is really our purpose tonight.
Our objective really is to build a youth treatment facility that allows young people a second chance, not to go deeper into the system. A lot of the conversation, as the judge mentioned, focused on what the Department of Corrections plans were for serious youth offenders. To be clear, this facility that we are discussing, the center that we are proposing to be built, is one that will focus on treatment, that will focus on alternatives, that will focus on diversion, that will have a level of programming and educational and vocational resources to help rehabilitate and get young people back on track. But one thing that we definitely want to make clear is that we are not moving Lincoln Hills to Milwaukee.
So what's the distinction between our plan and the state's plan? Well, Judge Donald mentioned it a little bit, that the state facility will be serving youth that are committed to what's called the Serious Juvenile Offender Program. So those youth that commit the most serious types of crimes against persons, they could be committed to that program. That program, the state's program, will also serve young people that are tried or convicted as adults. So those youth that are under age 18 that are maybe have been waived into the adult court system, they could also be served at the state facility. The county facility will be for any other youth that commit also serious offenses. Our facility won't be for anyone that can be safely supervised in the community. It'll be for youth that need to be in a secure facility. So people that commit serious offenses, but just not offenses that rise to the level of having been committed to the Serious Juvenile Offender Program.
How many of you all have seen this building on 32nd and Hampton? Originally it was spoken of as Bishop's Creek. It's now called Bakari House, and it's run in a partnership with Wisconsin Community Services, WCS. This already exists, and while we just opened it in December, there's 4 youth there currently. It's built as a 24-bed residential care center, and we believe that this is a good alternative to help reintegrate youth who are leaving the system and get them on a path to self-sufficiency. Now, to the points that Mark raised with regards to overrepresentation in the system. This is a map, obviously, of our county of Milwaukee. And when it comes to representation in Lincoln Hills, we're talking about on the low-level offense side of the spectrum, that is the type of youth that we're talking about from Milwaukee County, is 56 youth. And you can see by those dots the neighborhoods that they come from. Now we don't have time to get into a large discussion about sentencing disparities and ask ourselves whether youth in Franklin or other parts of the county are getting into trouble. We're sure they are too. But clearly we see that something is happening where our young people have been caught in the system and have been getting in trouble and sent to a location 4 hours away, where there's a lack of support and a lack of accountability for their personal safety. And we definitely believe that we have a role to play in the alternative. What currently exists in the city and the county are those purple dots that you represent, that are represented right there. You see one of them is Vel Phillips, another one is St. Charles and Lad Lake. We have Bakari House up there, and then we have, I believe, up there we have Job Corps and the DMV site.
Lincoln Hills didn't just start being a bad place for hours from it. It's what we equip the facility with the staff. You can have the same facility you're trying to build here, and if you do not have the staff, your issue is going to be the same as Lincoln Hills. And how we got to the point where we were at Lincoln Hills, it was preferential treatment as far as staffing. It did substandards. It was who you know got you in there and then provide quality care for some other mother's child. And that's most important in all these facilities. We have so many people that like to advocate and show to the community all the great things, but once when they get the structure complete, like we did at detention, we were the first, and I was one of them, that started with the American Correction Association. But if I didn't have the backing from my superiors in the Department of Social Service, they didn't want the American Correction to come in. They didn't want the youth law enforcement. These are all national, facilities. And I just want to keep in mind that you got to get money from the national in order to have a very healthy situation here in Milwaukee. So I say to you, Lincoln Hills wasn't bad. It's what the system put the staff in to take care of some of this child. And we have to keep that in mind because we have so many people in these facilities that's not equipped to provide that quality care to some other mother's child. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. And you raise a really excellent point that it's not about the bricks and mortar, it's about the people. And it's about the training that they have, and it's about the support that they have, and the commitment that they have to work with our youth. And that's the culture that we're trying to grow here in Milwaukee County, and build upon. I think we've had an excellent detention program. I think it's even better today. We've made remarkable gains in how we engage youth, how we engage families. Our use of force is almost non-existent. Only in emergency situations do staff have to physically separate youth or move youth, and we've done remarkable things about reducing that, reducing injuries to staff, reducing injuries to youth, and it's because of our people and because of our culture and the training that we're implementing around what's the best way to work with youth. And that we want to carry that throughout our system, through Bakari House, through the new program when it's built and when our youth move there in 2021. You raise an excellent point. It is about the people, and we aim to find and train and support the best people.
Hi. I have a comment over here on this side. Actually, I have two comments. One is I'm wondering if you're going to place this at 6101 West Mill, possibly. That actually is Alderman Chevy Chase's district. He hasn't even been notified about this. And so none of the people in his district, I talked to him last week, and he said he didn't send out a letter because he didn't even hear about this yet. My other comment is, I think all of us would like to see the youth rehabilitated, but isn't there a possibility of locating this facility in an area that is not residential? Because right now, we all know, anyone who looks and reads the facts here in Milwaukee, that even though you're talking about making smaller facilities, every prison facility in the state of Wisconsin is overcrowded, extremely overcrowded. Not one of them has less people in it than the capacity. So what's going to help us to believe that that same thing wouldn't happen here?
Well, I'm not sure I can address the location sites specifically, but we've looked at over 40 locations. We work closely with our facilities department, with architects, with real estate experts. We looked at, as all the things David mentioned, about where would the optimal location be given who the youth and the families are that we're working with. And those are the two sites that came up as the best possibilities for us. As far as overcrowding, actually, placements in youth corrections have been going down steadily over the last several years. If you recall, we used to have two boys correctional facilities years ago. We had Ethan Allen and we had Lincoln Hills, and the populations had gone down so steadily that it was necessary to close one or the other. Governor Walker decided to close Ethan Allen, and the populations still continue to decline. Today there's just over 100 youth at Lincoln Hills, and there was a day when there was well over 300 youth in each of those facilities. So it's gone down steadily. Youth crime has gone down steadily. And we think that by providing better services and more effective services that are tied to effective practices and research, we can continue to bring that number down because fewer kids will be returning to those facilities over time.
Is there any other facilities or locations that you're looking at for the county?
No, just the two.
Okay.
Just the two we put out.
Just those two that you have put out.
And
so is that a done deal? It's going to be one or the other?
No. There's an entire process with that as well. But I'd say the 40 sites I want to speak to, in terms of some of those locations, floodplain, toxicology reports, not safe to build. This is what was settled on based upon the requirements for the youth center that we want to build.
Good evening. Mine's Atal with the Long Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a board member of the Havenwoods Economic Development Corporation. I don't think, in respect to all of you here tonight, I don't think any of us here tonight are here with the notion that we don't support changing the trajectory of our youth, right, our troubled youth. I don't think that's the issue here at hand. But my question, especially in the realm that I work in economic development, and you've talked about this, the two gentlemen on stage, it's, have we done our due diligence on the economic impact for this community? And we're not even just talking about the county facility, right? We're also talking about the state facility that potentially could move in right next door. It's two facilities that greatly could impact negatively at an economic level our residents, our businesses, our community organizations, all of us who have really worked hard to raise up these communities. And we talked earlier, I had the honor of speaking with Fred Royal earlier at a shared prosperity event discussion. And Milwaukee, we have such huge economic disparities amongst our minority communities, and yet this is one community that we're right at that cusp of raising up. And so I just implore that you all do due diligence around what could be the economic impact that will touch these communities with two facilities that are being proposed into this region. And I would ask too, have we started to do that sort of due diligence?
Definitely, thank you for that comment. On the county side, because again, I can't speak for the state, but what we've committed to doing is in terms of our contracting, in terms of hiring, making sure that we are being cognizant of hiring diverse workforces, hiring from targeted zip codes to make sure that people who have not had a traditional opportunity will be a part of this process. And then in addition to that, when the center is built, to make sure that the contracting is reflective of the population that is being served as well. So those are the things that we've taken into consideration. We've definitely thought about that and had internal discourse about it. I would ask to see what the impact has been in Wauwatosa, where Val Phillips has been for quite some time. And there's a great deal of development in that area as well. So, you know, there's definitely pros and cons. Again, I can't speak for the state, but we have done our research on the council.